So good to be together in church, amen? Come on, my goodness. Well, Pastor Bob and Kara, they are ministering in Spokane this weekend, and really good friends of ours, church, Sun City Church, phenomenal people. They pray for them. They had a meeting yesterday, they had a meeting last night, preaching 3 services today, and then they do a marriage conference this afternoon and into the evening. Come on, be praying for them. We love them so much. Aren't we just so blessed to have the pastors that we have? Come on, hopefully they'll watch this at some. Come on. Oh, we love you guys. Yeah, in the living room even. You guys just stand up. Man, we are blessed. We don't even know it. We just don't even know it. We're just world-class leaders. Amen. Well, we have been in this series called Relationship Goals, where we're talking about God's design for marriage and dating and sex. And today I want to take it just one last week, if I can. I want to talk about a subject that's really near and dear to my heart, a bit of a life message for me, but never got to communicate it in an environment like this. I want to talk about singleness today, and I just want to be real practical, real pastoral this morning, and I believe that it will encourage you, challenge you, and really help you out. So I want to speak to some hearts that maybe you're in your 20s, 30s, maybe 40s, 50s, maybe 60s, maybe 70s, maybe widowed, maybe divorced, not just once, but maybe twice, maybe 3 times. God's got a gift for you today, and here's why. Because you are a gift. You are a gift. And you married folk, don't check out. First of all, because you know some single folk, okay? Second of all, that I got some stuff in here I guarantee God's going to challenge your heart with. So if you're in a life group that's comprised of married people, don't start texting your group right now and just like, hey, he's preaching on singleness, game night. No, stop it. Stop it. How dare you? Slap your own hand. God's going to get you too. God's going to get you. But we're going to go to the Word of God together today and just being challenged and encouraged. Amen. So let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 7. If we can together, let's stand as we read the Word of God. It's just a custom I love to do. The Bible says the grass withers and the flower fades, but the word of the Lord will stand forever. Amen. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, starting verse 7, read 7 and 8, and then I want us to look at just really quickly Eugene Peterson's paraphrase of it. So check this out. But I wish everyone were single, just as I am. Paul, the great apostle, outside of Jesus, we get so much doctrine and theology and way to live our life from this man. He was single. And he says, yet each person has a special gift from God, talking about singleness, married and unmarried, of one kind or another. So I say to those who aren't married and to widows, it's better to stay unmarried, just as I am. He uses the word better. It's better to stay unmarried, just as I am. Now check it out, the way it's used in the Message paraphrase. God gives gifts. God gives the gift of single life to some and the gift of married life to others. I do, though, tell the unmarried and the widows that singleness might well be the best thing for them as it has been for me. So I want to encourage us from this idea of singleness and how Paul's encouraging us of the advantages that come with singleness. Let's pray before you're seated. God, thank you so much for your word today. What an opportunity and a privilege to come around it. We just thank you today, God, that you have something tailor-made for every one of us, no matter what season or in type of life, God, and wherever it may be where we're at. We thank you, God, tonight. First time here, 100th time here, today, God, we say, would you cause us to walk out of here different than the way we walked in? And everybody said amen. Amen. Come on, you can be seated. Thank you, Darcia. Man, I remember when I was single, I would get kind of 2 variations of responses from people when they find out that you're single. One, you would often get the unsolicited empathy. I would call it sympathy, really. Unsolicited sympathy, or you would get the misplaced concern. So it would often look like this. Like I remember actually being at weddings when I was single, and somebody would, you'd be like in kind of like the buffet line, and somebody would walk up to you, and randomly you would just feel somebody kind of rubbing your shoulder. And you turn to them, and you're just like, what's up? And like, hey man, Man, God's got somebody for you, bro. God's got somebody for you. I'm telling you. There's awesome women out there, man. Just come on. Hey, you're next, man. And I just remember being like, I just want to get some coleslaw. That's my next right here. Thank you for whatever that was and where that came from, but I'm good, right? Or it'd be like the reverse. You know, people are like, hey, how's it going? Hey, are you seeing anybody? Like, no, I'm cool, man. Bachelor to the rapture. You know, it's all good. And then they would just, people can be weird, man, right? It's like, they kind of like do this thing where they kind of look both ways and it's like, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? Is it that all the hair that you have? Are you insecure because all the hair that you have? You just like you're a grizzly bear under that sweatshirt? Is that what it is? And it's like, are you kidding me, right? Like I remember, I had to tell my wife this story because she didn't even know this story. I remember I think I turned 32 on our honeymoon. So I was in my late 20s. I remember going to breakfast with a guy that had pastored for some time. And I remember him talking about how he really wants to get married young. And here I am in my late 20s. I'll never forget this. He goes, you know, I just don't want to be one of those guys that's in their late 20s and still single. And I just looked right at him and I was like, you mean like me? And you know when you catch somebody and you're bold enough to be like, oh, you mean me? They just start backpedaling just like, oh, dude, no. Dude, you're like 21, right? You're like 21. Like, are you kidding me? I've been pastoring you since you were like a young high schooler, right? You know how old I am, right? Like sometimes the best advice you'd kind of get from people and again, you got to remember, okay, that people are well-intentioned. As much as you might want to punch them in the esophagus, they mean well, okay? But I remember just sometimes people were just like, well, just wait, man. Just hold on, okay? Just hold on. You know, it was almost just like, we see how bad it is, bro. You know, like whatever it was. But it was like this concept of just wait, just kind of, hold on. I don't know about you. I don't like waiting, right? You go to the DMV, I don't like waiting. There's nothing more discouraging when you pull your number and there's 100 people in front of you. Like, I don't like waiting. The other day, I had a flight that got canceled, and I called to try and rebook my flight, and they said, your wait time is 5.5 hours. And I'm like, there's no way. I don't like waiting. Here's one of the reasons why we don't like waiting, amongst many reasons why, is because that time that we're waiting, we're sitting in the DMV on, God bless those wooden benches that people like me that just your butt falls asleep and you're waiting there. The reason why you don't like waiting is because you know you could be doing something more productive with your time. Here's why we here at Life Church won't ever just tell you as a single person to just cross your fingers and just wait, is because we believe God has a purpose and a plan for your life that's not contingent on whether you have a ring on your finger or not. He's got something for you that we don't want you to miss out on. Today, here's my hope today. That every one of us, no matter where we're at, would be challenged and encouraged. But to the single people in the room, I want you to walk out of here so secure, so satisfied in your singleness, that you would walk with just such purpose, not waiting on somebody else to bring it, because our purpose comes from Him and Him alone. That if it be in God's timing and His will, and that person comes along, that marriage would almost come as a surprise to you. You're just so focused on Him, so running after Him, that He just taps you on the shoulder one day and says, hey, I really just love this adventure we've been having together, but I got a rib for you. You're like, oh God, I love McDonald's. No, not a McRib. I got a rib for you. You got somebody else? Yeah, I think it's the time. Oh, okay, God, cool. That's how I want you to be encouraged today. So here's what I want to do. I just want to talk about three things. Just three things, three advantages that, and I'll say it this way, hear me well, that singleness gifts you. That it gifts us. Three advantages that singleness gifts us. I'm just going to give you three. Man, this week I love just talking about this so much that, man, I had an acronym for single. I had an acronym for solo. I was just like single in this and single in that. I'm just going to give you three things today. First one is this. First advantage, knowing your value. Knowing your value. I love what Paul says. Check this out. 1 Corinthians 7 again. But I wish everyone were single just as I am. Yet each person has a special gift from God. a special gift from God of one kind or another. So I say to those who aren't married and to widows, it's better to stay unmarried just as I am. Paul says that singleness is a gift. He says it's a special gift. Now, I don't know about you, but when I'm getting a special gift for someone in my life, that means that that person is special to me. Come on, somebody. My wife's sitting in the front row. She's like, okay, let's go. And here's what my hope is that when I give them that special gift, that no matter the value of that gift, because how many of you know, it doesn't necessarily matter the value of it, but I don't know about you, I love the gifts that get given to me that they're not maybe worth very much, but it's something that I maybe mentioned randomly to somebody. Come on, the dudes in the room, I'm giving you some pointers right now. Pay attention, right? Like, oh my goodness, like I remember when we were hanging out and I just randomly mentioned how cool I thought that thing was. You got one for me. Here's what I hope is that when I get that special gift for that person, that they would recognize not the value of the gift, but the value that I have on them. Come on, somebody, help me where I'm going today in saying this. You have to recognize that the reason why singleness is a special gift is because you are a gift. The reason why he's recognizing the value and telling us the importance of it is because to God's heart, you have importance and you have value. Jeremiah chapter 1 reminds us that before you were even formed in your mother's womb, he knew you. That means before there was even a you for you to know, he knew you and he was thinking about you, and oh my goodness, does he love you. In fact, let me tell you how much he loves you. Ephesians chapter 2 says this, that you are God's masterpiece. You are his pinnacle of creation. I know that at times you probably spoke down on yourself. I know that you've demeaned yourself. You probably said things in seasons and been like, man, I'm damaged goods, or I've been through this. Friend, I tell you this, that is nowhere near the thought that God has towards you. I put that shame off of you today. He calls you a masterpiece. Oh, I'm not done yet. Psalm 139 says is that God's thoughts towards you, they outnumber the sands on the shores. Do you know what that means? It was hard enough for the angels to conceptualize that God made us to be the masterpiece, but then they have to hear about it all day long. So now they're up there in heaven, and right now the angels are like, God, all day long. It's like, Jose this, and Sarah this, all day long. I walk home today, and all over the refrigerator in my mansion is all these sticky notes about how great Beth is and how awesome he is. God just got it. His Instagram, Jesus' Instagram is full of photos with you. He loves you. I'm not done yet. Matthew chapter 10 says that God has numbered the hairs on your head. Not that he knows the numbers, but he has numbered. We got to make sure we get this because it speaks to not just a love, friend. It's greater than love. It's like a passionate obsession for you, how much he loves you and how much he values you. It's not the numbers. It means he's numbered. So when I do this with my hair, 3 hairs fall out. If I know just the total numbers, that would just mean he would just be subtracting 3 from the total number, but that's not what your Bible says. It says he is numbered. So when I do this with my hair and 3 hairs fall out, God says, there goes hair number 756. There goes hair number 842. There goes hair number 1041. That's how much he loves you. Don't get salty if you don't have much hair in the room. Like, what is he talking about? I'm just kidding. Help me out, right? You know what Psalm 56 says? That he catches your tears in a bottle and he records your sorrows. I got to speak to somebody that's had a longing in their heart for a long time now to be married. Every tear that you have cried in longing, wondering when it might be your time, God has caught every one of them, friend. And if that wasn't proof enough of your value, he saw you, while the Bible says, while we were yet sinners, he looked about himself and he saw and he said, I'll tell you what, how much that kid, I love that kid that much. I'll trade the life of my own kid for that kid. Friend, I don't know if that just doesn't trump it all right there. My goodness, he put the value of his only kid, and he said, you're worth it, you're worth it, you're worth it. That's value right there. And while I'm at it, can I just say this? There is nothing wrong with you. I think sometimes there's this lie that gets perpetuated that the reason why you haven't been married is because, well, I just must not be ready and God's just not working on it. Somehow you're not good enough. Can I just reach in and rip that lie off of you today for a couple of reasons? One is that none of us that are married were ever ready. Come on, somebody say a louder amen than that. Not ready. I don't care. There were parts of us that were ready. But we weren't ready. We weren't ready. We didn't have it figured out. But God in his goodness. So I just want to speak to somebody that thinks they're incomplete. Well, God just must still be working on something to me. Otherwise, I'd be married. No, friend, don't let the enemy have a voice of you're walking outside of your purpose. You've screwed up enough. Friend, I'm telling you, the Bible says that singleness is a gift, not purgatory or punishment. It's not some holdover. Come on. Singleness is not a sin. I know some people, sometimes, God bless them, again. Oh, you haven't been married? Not even engaged? Friend, it's a gift. Push off the guilt. It's a gift. You are valued. You are valued. And here's why this is so important. Singleness gives us this advantage of being single and significant, recognizing who we are in God. Because this is what's so great, is when we recognize our value, we are that much more apt to recognize how valuable we are, and we just won't give away that value or worth to just anybody that comes along. Come on, let me say it to you in a redneck way. When you learn your worth, you'll stop giving people discounts. Come on, somebody, I gotta get hood on you. Come on, I'm telling you, you're walking out of here today, and your new hashtag, even though hashtags are kind of old now, right? But your new girls, it literally is gonna be just like, hey, single, locked in, right? Dudes, bachelor to the rapture. Don't get all religious about where your eschatology is. I'm just making a joke, okay? But that kind of security, because you're valuable. Turn to somebody close by and say, you're valuable. He loves you. Come on, you find security in knowing your significance. Second advantage that singleness gifts us is this: knowing your identity. Knowing your identity. Here's what I mean by identity. Let me qualify it really quickly. I believe that God has a blueprint in heaven that has your name on it. Nobody else gets that blueprint. It's how He uniquely made you. It's amazing, it's unique, and it's full of purpose. In fact, we love here at this church, we're all about helping you discover your God-given identity. We call it original design, the way God designed you to be. Because sometimes, actually all of us, have deviated in some form or another from our original design, the way God designed it. So we're all about helping you know God, find freedom, discover purpose, and make a difference. Shameless plug for our Discover class next weekend. You got to be here. If you're like, man, I don't know what you're talking about, let us help you out. So when I think about identity, I think about this: learning and then allowing God to transform our hearts into His likeness and image, into that original design that we're talking about. Now, what does that have to do, and how does that pertain to our singleness? It's because Paul says that singleness is a gift from God. Yeah. See, culture has kind of given this lie that someone else completes you. Oh, you complete me. They complete me. All you married folk, you should be laughing right now. Because you know how much that is not true. Oh, they complete me. Here's my problem with that. First of all, it's not the Bible. I could just stop there. But I'm going to give you a lot of other problems I have with it, okay? It's not the Bible, because that word single in the Greek means whole and complete. So we say, oh, they complete me. Now we have a bunch of halves walking around looking for a whole, when the Bible says in Acts 17, it's in Him that we live and move and have our being. Friend, finding someone, being married is not about completing you. God designed it so that completeness would be found in Him. Marriage doesn't complete you, it complements you. Come on, somebody. So it's recognizing the purpose. I love what Paul says. Check out this. Look what Paul says in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, if you read down a little bit more. He says, the time and energy that married people spend on caring for and nurturing each other, the unmarried can spend on becoming whole and holy, look at this, instruments of God. Look, if you aren't married, you're not incomplete. Putting a ring on your finger is like, bing, and you're suddenly complete. It doesn't work. Your completeness is found in God. And here's why I have to make sure this gets into somebody, is because we sometimes make it, can we communicate it as though God has our purpose in some kind of holding pattern. Well, I can't land yet because, sorry. Which, by the way, how crazy is that? Because it would be coming from the heart of he himself when he walked on the earth was single. Right? But we can communicate it sometime that God just kind of put this like waiting on it. Friend, I'm telling you, there's no waiting on your boo to unlock the real you. I'm telling you, God's got a purpose and a plan for your life, and you've got to recognize it. So here's some things. Let me encourage you. I want to encourage you, because what I've realized is that if we're thinking that another person is going to complete us, we run the risk of cutting short or sabotaging even the things that God wants to do in our singleness. So let me share with you I know this is not an exhaustive list, but I want to give you just a few things of what I feel like Paul encourages us to find who we are in our God-designed identity. I said this, identity opportunities that singleness provides. I'm just going to kind of go through them, right? First of all, the opportunity of developing you. The opportunity of developing you. Singleness gives you this advantage of getting this thing called self-awareness, which, by the way, I tell young people this all the time. Self-awareness, culture tells you self-awareness and they stop right there. That you're just self-aware. You got to pair with it self-leadership. Self-government is another phrase that we use. Oh, this is just how I am. Well, I'll tell you right now, that's not how you should be, sister, okay? I'm just telling you right now. Singleness just is this great gift, because if we think that marriage is going to be one of those things that we're going to be a friend, I'll tell you right now, marriage is a magnifier, not a mirror. I'm trying not to look at my wife, okay, right now, because I can just see the drive today. Hey, let's just kind of talk about what you preached about today. Sorry, Dave. But it is. It amplifies things. It magnifies things. Those things, these are great opportunities. It was when I was single that I began to say, all right, God, Psalm 139. Psalm 139 was not for married people. It was for everybody. The best time to pray Psalm 139 says, search me, O God. Search me, O God. A great time to pray that is in your singleness. I pray that prayer almost every single day, my whole life. Married folk, it doesn't stop. We just go all the way through. We keep praying that prayer. God, search me. I'll tell you what, I learned before there's any personality tests, before there's anything like the Enneagram, all that kind of stuff. It was God showing me things like, hey, buddy, you prayed that prayer like, search you. I searched you, and you find anything in you that might offend me. Well, I found something. You can be fairly non-confrontational at times. I don't want to talk about it. You learn. It's a great opportunity to ask yourself, what do I do when things happen to me? Do I run? Am I led by my emotions? These are great. Singleness gives us this opportunity, right? And I'm telling you, married people, it doesn't stop when you get married, does it? You got to keep putting that mirror, right? I'm looking at the man in the mirror, or the lady in the mirror. God's telling me to change, right? Because why? Because guess what? Now your spouse is watching. Now your kids are watching. I'm raising boys right now, and it's crazy how much they're watching me, how much they mimic me. I'm just like, oh God, I got to look in the mirror every single day, right? Here's another thing, discovering and developing your giftings. I love this. In that same book, 1 Corinthians, if you go over to chapter 12, Paul talks about how we each play a part in the body. And he actually uses the analogy of a human body. Some are feet, some are hands. He's like understanding those things. And then in that chapter, he talks about these different spiritual giftings. Again, another plug for Discover class next weekend, right? So we can help you discover. Singleness gives us this advantage to developing those gifts now, developing those gifts now, understanding the way that God designed you to be and developing that. I remember some of the first times I feel like God maybe just kind of be prophetic. And Scripture encourages we all would prophesy. And so it's like, I feel like God's telling me something about this person. And so I just remember it was in that time of my life that it gifted me this advantage of operating in. It's also in that time of life that I got a vision for my life. I didn't wait for my spouse to come along and say, hey, thank you for saying I do. What am I going to do with my life? I didn't do that. It was an awesome gift to get a vision from God. You might say, well, I got a vision to marry somebody rich. Vision over. No. A vision for your life, how God designed you, uniquely made you. Man, how did this one? Being selfless. I'm so sorry, babe. I did not learn this one very well. Right? Because if we're not careful in our singleness, we can just get even more independent. Friend, do you realize scripturally, the route to real freedom is actually through true bondage to Jesus? We just would become hung on to Jesus, right? That's how real freedom in our lives is actually clinging more. And so I should have capitalized on. I'm speaking from a place of weakness. I should have capitalized on how I could have just exercised selflessness more. This is a great opportunity. If you can't serve your roommates, you're going to have a hard time serving your spouse. It's just the fact of the matter. Well, you don't understand, man. They're lazy. They're all this kind of stuff. Look, I had guys living with me before I was married. The last one I kicked out on the morning of our wedding, I was like, I got to get in my suit. Get out of my house. Because when I come home, it's going to be with another woman that I've just given my life to. Get out of here, right? And I remember just being like, they're just... I just felt like we were a shelter. I sometimes call it a shelter. We just took in strays. So we came in, all these different people. I'm just joking, right? But every different season of life, and I'm like, I remember excusing myself for not being more selfless. I'd be like, well, I'm pastoring them. They're lazy, play video games all day. They get up at the butt crack at dinner. They don't get anything done. Like, this is ridiculous. So no, I'm not going to do their dishes when they leave them in the sink. And you know what? God's like, do it. Do it. And married folk, it don't stop. You don't do selfless things just to impress her, right? All day you're dating, you're opening up the door, all in college, and all that time you're doing her own laundry. When you get married, you peace out. No. Come on. We don't do that, right? Being selfless. This is where I really realized I want to live generously. So what I started doing when I was single, what I started doing is I stopped keeping score. Don't keep score. All the time, it happens to young people. There's kind of a large contingency of young people over here. So I'm going to go over here for a second. I know there's other of you in the room. Let's just stop with the hey man, I'll pick you up to go to church if you give me $5 later for gas. Forget it. God's going to bless you abundantly. Friends, don't keep score. Just be generous. Love people, right? Pay for people. Be generous to people, right? And in case you're wondering, dudes specifically, it's a good thing to get into now because when you're married with kids, you pay for everything, okay? Everything. When I'm older, I'm working my way into dad jokes, right? So when I get older and my kids are just, it's a lot easier to be embarrassed. But sometimes if you try to embarrass them now, they just think it's cool. But I'm going to wait till they're older. And I'm going to get a t-shirt that has a big arrow that just says ATM. And it just points up. It's just like, this is my role as a dad, right? But serving, Paul's encouragement. Here's another thing with selflessness. Paul's encouragement, this whole thing that he's talking about, verse 35, it gifts us this amazing opportunity just to serve our buns off, right? Able to give ourselves to the Lord and to the house of the Lord. He's saying that's what it should be all about. And I just want to take this moment to say this. If you're single in here, no matter what age you might be, because I know there's a lot of us, widowed and divorced, as a church, we recognize you, we value you, and we validate you for how much you serve the house of God. Come on, church. We love it so. We see how you've given yourself to the church of God. How we can serve. It says this. The next thing I have is relationships. Come on. Being genuinely interested in people and developing relationships. It's this time that we can just, the gifted, the advantage of it, right? For somebody, for getting to know somebody genuinely, not just as a potential someone. To go to a life group just to gain some friends and not to exercise your latest Christian pickup line. Yo, girl, I was reading through this morning in my devotions through the book of Numbers, and I realized I don't have yours. Whoa, I didn't know angels flew this low. I could do this all day, Jackson. I could do this all day. I could do this all day. Yo, girl, how many times do I got to march around you before you'll fall for me? Oh, come on. I could do this all day long. I can do this all day long. Hey, is your name Faith? Because you sure are the substance of things I've been hoping for. All day long, friends. All day long. That's not what it's about. Genuinely interested in people. I got a group of people over here that are literally like giving me like the, come on, dude. No. Stop. But these giftings that I just mentioned, they're meant to bless people. See, we've been talking about relationship goals. Let me just say this as an aside to all these things we've been talking about. Everyone's designed to live in relationship. Everyone's designed to live in relationship with somebody. That's irrespective of marriage and all. We're designed for a relationship. I just think of this worship team up here and how just amazingly talented they are and how gifted they are. Imagine if they never got around people, we wouldn't even know how great of musicians they were. There's gifts in the inside of you that when in community, not only can you develop them, but you bless people with them. And man, I tell you what, the other thing is friendships, like godly friendships. Man, it was that season of singleness for me, which for me it was a season, that I learned to get the battle buddies in my life. Some of them I learned how to war. You don't have this verse on the screen, but I want to give this to you because I love this. 2 Corinthians chapter 7, actually just one book later, same chapter, one book later, same chapter. It says this, Paul's writing this. He says, when we arrived in Macedonia, there was no rest for us. We faced conflict from every direction with battles on the outside, and check this out, and fear on the inside. And he says this, but God who encourages those who are discouraged, he encouraged us by, and I thought the verse is going to say, an angelic visitation that totally did away with our enemies. Or God had a divine, he opened everything up. He parted the seas once again. No, he goes on to say, and he encouraged us by the arrival of Titus. To be a battle buddy, okay? To get those battle buddies. Because by the way, if it is God's timing and will over your life that you would be married, you need those battle buddies in marriage. Some of them, they followed me all the way through. They're still the ones that I call, and try to, she doesn't understand me. She doesn't know. Dude, shut up. Oh, you're right. Okay, we're cool. We're good. Those battle buddies. And can I just emphasize this? Bros, it's your battle bros. Sisters, it's your, can't say battle sisters. I guess you can, right? Okay, sisterhood of the traveling pants. Like it's your sisses, okay? Same gender, okay? I haven't talked to a lot of ladies. I just feel like I got to say it for a moment. I've talked to a lot of ladies. Well, I just don't have very many girlfriends. Just guys, they just get me more. No, they want to get with you, okay? Just, you get some sisters, okay? Because you're going to need those battle buddies. I'm telling you, this is when we develop. And I've seen, this is what's so cool is I've watched, as many of you have gone through divorces or been widowed. And even I just think of the times of great friends of mine where I'd go to the funeral where they lost their spouse. And who is it that's sitting on the front row next to them? All their brothers and all their sisters that have walked with them, that they carved out life with. That's what it's all about. And that helped them in that next season. Come on, somebody. Just come on. And then I just want to say this. You learn how to enjoy life, laugh, be grateful, choose joy, be content, be satisfied. I know that was like a long list. You don't have to write it down. All these things that if we're not careful, we think that somebody's going to come along and suddenly we're going to have this desire to choose them. Friend, I've learned, if you're miserable single, you're going to be miserable married. Right? If you're sulky single, you're going to be mopey married. Like, that's just how it works. But these things that God gets to work and develop in our lives, right? The law of attraction says that we attract people who we are. We attract the people that we are, not the people that we want. And can I just say this? I just think this is worth saying. Is that when you find how you can be single and secure in who you are in God, it's so cool how that security and knowing that identity, it kills comparison in your life. So that you can not only be single and secure, but you can celebrate. Because I know for some of us, we've even probably said it out of our mouth. Always a bridesmaid, never a bride. Always a groomsman, never a groom. Friend, I know what it's like to go to a weddings after wedding and watch your friends and then dedicate your friends' babies. And then watch your youth kids that you've been pastoring since they were junior high going to the altar and you're performing the ceremony. And then you're dedicating their kids and you're like, okay. I know what it's like, but I also know what it's like to be in that season and to celebrate. Because along the way, I'm just like, God, if there's a grace, if you have a grace for things, there's a grace for singleness. I'm going to embrace the grace that you have. I'm telling you, single and satisfied. Somebody say amen. And celebrating. Last thing is this. The advantage of singleness is knowing your God. Knowing your God. Check out what Paul writes through Eugene Peterson's paraphrase. I love this, the way it's said here. Verses 32, if you read on in 1 Corinthians chapter 7. I want you to live free of complications as possible. When you're unmarried, you're free to concentrate, check this out, on simply pleasing the master. I almost wanted to call this mission simple and single. And then he goes on to say this, verse 35. I'm trying to be helpful and make it as easy as possible for you, not to make things harder. All I want is for you to be able to develop a way of life in which you can, check this out, spend plenty of time together with the master without a lot of distractions. Other translations say undivided devotion. You know, when I started sharing today, right behind me is this giant thing that says relationship goals. And I started off by saying, I want to talk about singleness today. And some of you, depending where you're at, might have been like, okay, it's like not a relationship goal because singleness is not a relationship. Well, first of all, it does involve other people, the friendships, the community. But friend, this last point is the ultimate relationship goal. And Paul says the advantage that singleness gives us is that we can have undivided devotion. I remember in my life, the Lord just simply speaking to a longing, which, by the way, the longing to be with somebody is not wrong. I just have to say that. But I remember there's longings that come in your heart, and you kind of even ask God, hey. And I just remember the Lord saying, hey, let's just do me and you, and I'll let you know when. All right, cool. And so I learned what it was to be married to God before I was ever married to my wife. I learned what it was to be engaged with God before I was ever engaged to my wife. And I remember, man, I learned to pray. I'll say it this way. I learned to war in those times. I remember Friday nights, staying home, just to spend time with God, just to pour love on Him. One of my favorite verses in all the Bible is in Psalm 27, verse 8. It says, God said unto me, seek my face, and my heart replied, your face I will seek. Man, the advantage is seeking God. Just learning how to just pray. And now that I'm married with kids, I'm so thankful that I learned how to pray. I learned how to dig a well. I learned how to dig a well that there's people could draw from and that I could draw from and that my kids and my marriage and people that I'm around and coworkers and people I'm pastoring and leading, they can draw from. I learned it in that season, man. I learned how to give hell a black eye. God taught me how to sharpen my sword. He first taught me that I had a sword, and then he taught me how to sharpen my sword. And that thing gets dull quite a bit, and I have to keep going back and sharpening it. The Bible says in Deuteronomy that 1 can put 1,000 to flight and 2, 10,000. I'm like, God, well, I'm just going to focus on getting that 1,000 out of here. If I'm 1, and if you give me a 2, we'll go for 10,000. But I'm going to be that 1. By the way, dudes, just word of advice, there's nothing more attractive to a lady than a dude that's walking in anointing, that knows how to get some stuff done. The bad cats in the kingdom. Let's stand to our feet. It's the gift of being able to linger longer. Just yesterday, I was spending time with the Lord, just focusing and soaking in for today. And my boys, every 5 minutes are kind of, hey, Dad, what's up? And I stop and give them attention. Those times when you can just go, as Paul says, undistracted, that you build what the Bible says, it's lingering, but the Bible uses the phrase tarrying. And just so you know, when you get married, that longing, it doesn't stop. It needs to continue to be flamed. The fan of that needs to be continued to be fanned. And you take that longing and you just say, God, I'm just going to use it as fuel to love on you. The advantage that singleness provides of knowing your God. Here's what I want to do. I want us to close our eyes. But I'm going to pray for all of us, but I first want to pray for single people that might be in the room, no matter what your age or stage is in that. Maybe you're widowed or divorced. And if that's you, if you're single, widowed or divorced, would you put your hands out right in front of you? I just want to lean into God right now. I just want to rest on Him, and I want to pray a specific prayer over you right now. And if you're in this room and you're outside of that category, then I just want you to pray with me. Lord, I just speak to all my friends right now. You see them and you know them well. I speak value and I speak identity today in Jesus' name. God, where there's been hurt, where there's been a wounding, I just sense there's somebody that you were once married and you're like, I don't even want to, and there's bitterness there. Forget longing, it's just been replaced with some hurt and some bitterness. Maybe even some unforgiveness. God, I ask you, come right now, Holy Spirit, would you minister to the hurting heart today? I just speak it. There's somebody watching online that you just been discouraged. I just speak value into that living room right now. I just speak identity. God calls you, friend, you are enough. You are enough. You're not incomplete. God says, you're complete in me. So God, I just speak that into somebody's heart today. For just the longing, God, we just think, for those that are in the room that just have a longing and a desire to be married, God, I thank you today. You would so infuse them with such identity, such purpose, such value, God, that longing just becomes this, man, God, I just long for you and you just do whatever you want to do. God, it's your timing and it's your will. I just want to run after you. God, it would be so in the heart of your people today. I pray over them. I just feel like for somebody who's, there's somebody that's either watching or in the room, you were once married, and you feel like you missed your chance. And I just feel by the Holy Spirit right now to just pull you out of that past of where you've been stuck in the past of woulda, coulda, shoulda, and you're still replaying the script. Well, maybe if we did this, then what happened like this? And I just affirm you today and say, God has a plan for you. He has a purpose for you. Friend, you fix your gaze on Him. You're the God who cares. The God who cares. And you know it well. And God, I also pray for these hands that are out in front. I pray for an anointing that wherever they go, they infuse into people that God has a gift where they too can be single and satisfied. I prayed specifically over our youth leaders and our people that have influence in the lives of young people and teenagers, that they would just be imparting into young people, hey, God's got something for you. God has a purpose and a plan. He's working in you right now. So I pray wherever they go, God, people would be able to sense the single, satisfied, secured in you. And I want to pray for them. I'm just listening to the Lord. So just right where you're at. There's somebody that's married and you're married right now. You've had some hard times in marriage. And you've almost leaned on your spouse more than you leaned on God. And I feel like God's just calling you back to this awesome time of devotion and just living and longing with Him. I'm gonna speak right to your heart. I'm gonna speak right to you. I'm gonna show you value and purpose. There's even some woundedness. There's somebody right now. I feel this. There's somebody right now that divorce is on the docket. I pray over the pain and the sting right now, Lord. And I pray, come on, church, we pray your presence, whether it's somebody watching online. I feel like somebody's going to watch this down the road and they're going to hear this. Right now, God, would you invade that car when they hear this? God, that your presence be with them. They're looking at something they never, ever thought they'd be looking at. God, infuse yourself in that situation in Jesus' name. Now, here's what I want to do with every eye closed. You're here today and you heard me talking about being complete and incomplete. And I said, you can't be complete when you're trying to find it in a person. The only place your completeness, your wholeness comes from is from Him. And maybe you're in the room today and you've been trying to find it in one relationship after another, something that would make you feel purpose. And friend, you've never found it. Well, that's because you can't find it in just another person. It can only be found in one, and His name's Jesus. And you're here today, and you say, man, I don't want to walk out of here the same way I walked in with this hole in my heart, feeling like I don't have a purpose. Well, friend, you can, and it simply begins by surrendering your life to this Jesus that saw you, this God that saw you so valuable that He sent His only Son, Jesus, just for you. So here's what I want to do. If that's you today and you just know, come on, friend. This is the ultimate relationship goal right here. It's surrendering your life to Jesus. Right where we're at with all of our eyes closed, I'm going to ask my whole church family, your new friends, your new family, to pray this prayer with you out loud. And if this is you and you're saying for the first time, I'm surrendering my life to Jesus, then I just want you to make this confession out loud together, because this is where it all changes. So come on, church, let's pray this together. Say, Jesus. Come on, let's say it again. Jesus, here I am. I give up. I give over. I surrender. God, I repent and I'm sorry. I give you all that I am. And from this day forward, I'm yours. Come on, somebody say amen. Now here's what I want to do. That's great applause. But the Bible says that heaven celebrates when somebody comes to a saving knowledge of Jesus, makes that confession for the first time. And I want to make sure our friends know, not only do we love them, we value them, and we celebrate with them, but that we're not golf clappers. Because how many know the angels are not just like, yay, right? They're ecstatic. So here's what I want to do. I want to do this. If you just prayed that prayer for the first time and said, man, I just surrendered my life to Jesus. I'm starting this road of finding my completion in Him and a purpose in Him. Would you do us all a favor? Because we want to celebrate with you. Will you just raise your hand and wave at me really quick? And come on, Life Church, as they're doing that, just come on, it's a big deal. Oh, we love it. Come on, this is transformation day for you. Phew. Man, we just say this, welcome home. Welcome home. You just inherited a lot of brothers and sisters. So if you're an only child, like physically, this might be a little hard for you, but we're just going to love you, okay? And just let us love you. Let us help you on the next steps. Here's what we mean by that. if you would do yourself a favor and us a favor, because we want to get to know you. As you leave today, would you go out these middle doors? Just to your left, there's some people standing around some tall tables just like this. We call it our Connect Center. If you want to know how to find and develop giftings and get in community and relationship, find a life group, all these things we talked about that's pivotal for every season of life, stop by there. We have a gift for you. Also, if you're new, you're just checking us out, we just say stop by there as well. In fact, we welcome to people online. I want to say something really quick. We want to also welcome those of you that this is maybe your first or second time. I'm meeting people every week that this is their first or second time coming to a physical building. They watched online and then they joined us in a room. We just want to say welcome to you. And if we want to get to know you as well, make sure you stop by there. That'd be great. Our prayer team is coming right now. If there's any prayer needs, we can partner with these people. Not only can they pray, but they love to pray, and boy, can they pray. Okay, so if it's made available for, we love you so much, Life Church. Have an awesome day. We'll see you Tuesday night right here for Pursuit Night. God bless you.